It's lunchtime, fellas. What's going on, good people? What is happening? Welcome to Live at Lunch. You have made it to the hump day, the middle of the week, Wednesday. Hope everybody got your Valentine stuff out of the way. Hope you did it yesterday so you ain't got to go running around and trying to do everything at lunchtime today. But, yeah, it is the first day, the first Wednesday in a long time where we don't have football. Thus, you see my background change a little bit. Now we can talk about pretty much the whole NFL and everything that's going on, but we still got some food left on the table from the Eagles season and the Super Bowl and different things like that, man. Um, and the biggest thing going on right now is what's going on with Haason Reddick with the trade rumors, everything going on with that. Let me see. Let me see who's on the face and books. Let me see. I always try to hop in on my phone so I can see who's chiming in. I see Dennis. So what's going on, Dennis? Glad you could join. I know somebody else is out there. Carl Wright, I see you. I appreciate you. But yeah, man, you know how we do. Live at lunch. We're gonna talk about the birds. We're gonna talk about the NFL, and I'm gonna get you out of here with plenty of time to finish your sandwich, wash your hands, and get clocked back in. Word. But Haason Reddick, trade rumors a couple days ago. The Eagles had granted him permission to seek a trade. And everybody thought the worst, thought he wanted out of here, myself included. But when you stop, and I did this yesterday, had to stop, go back and actually look at what was reported. He did not ask for a trade. That was the Eagles releasing the information that he could seek a trade. Obviously, in parenthesis, is if he wanted one. But ultimately, what that is, if you saw my video, reason one was he was unhappy with the changes, with the coaching changes, with the way things went down last year, and he wanted to move on. Number two, and what it looks like the reason is that Howie Roseman is testing the market. Howie Roseman wants to look around and see what's going on, because you got to think he is top 3 or 4 in the league in sacks at his position. That's another thing we're gonna get into, his position, right? You look at I want to say Bosa, Myles Garrett, couple other guys that are, I know Bosa's getting like 37 million or something like that. San Francisco gave him a ridiculous contract. And then Aaron Donald's, I think, is only like 31. So my point is, he's in that upper echelon. He's putting up stats that rival those players. So if he's looking for that type of money, whether or not he'll get it from the Eagles is not the question. Number one is he worth it? As a player, he earned it. The last 4 seasons, he's been tops with sacks. He's earned it. You can't really debate that. Now, if you want to get into his age and everything like that, that's a fair point. The Eagles are going to be gun shy anyways, because if you look at the situation with Slay and you look at the situation with Bradbury, you're talking about the same thing. Bradbury is what, 29 going on 30? Or Bradbury might be 30 already. Let me see. Let me make sure of that. James Bradbury. I think James Bradbury might be 30. Yep. James Bradbury is 30. But they gave him that good contract last year. He earned it. But nobody thought Bradbury's play was going to fall off a cliff like it did this year. Nobody saw that. Seth Graham, what's going on, dude? So you never know what's going to, every time on both sides of the ball, that's a gamble. On both sides, it's a gamble. Because you remember, Slay To me, Slay is worth it. His contract is worth it because he played at a high level. He still got hurt, some things like that. But when he was on the field, he made a difference. All right. Bradbury was a liability. But I don't get mad at Howie for signing him. And you got to remember, CJ Gardner-Johnson has something to do with this. Because you got to look at the context of how everything went down. Everybody wanted CJ Gardner-Johnson to come back to the Eagles because he led the league in interceptions and he played like one of the best safeties in the league. He did. He earned it. But I think CJ Gardner-Johnson's asking price was too much. And I think he did that before he tested the market. What is everybody else in his position getting? And I think he may have asked for a little bit too much. The Eagles and Howie doing their due diligence, doing, smart business, looked at the market. And whatever he was asking, he said, the Eagles said no. Then he goes and ends up signing with Detroit. And for what he signed in Detroit for, he should have stayed with the Eagles. Now, the question is, what did Howie Roseman offer? Was it more or less than what he ended up signing for in Detroit? Because it could have been more. It could have been $8 or $9 million. And CJ Gardner-Johnson could have said, no, I know I can get more. And Howie said, once this deal is off the table, it's off the table. He may have gambled. I don't know if that's exactly how it happened. This is just my guess. But ultimately, it's a gamble. You rolled the dice. He rolled the dice on himself. And I don't blame him for that. If he asked for too much money, I don't blame him for that. He earned it. His play earned him a bump in pay. But what he asked for, maybe it was a little bit too much than the Eagles were willing to shell out. Haason Reddick is in the same boat. Same boat. Now, the one good thing I think Haason has in his corner is the type of player he is, the type of leader he was in the locker room. He's not going to cause too much trouble. He's a Philly kid. He's from the Philly, South Jersey area. So he's homegrown, went to Temple, all of that stuff. So that should play into it. But at the end of the day, business is business and friends are friends. Do not confuse the two. I really, really, really hope that the Eagles can figure out a way to sign Haason Reddick and keep him here in Philadelphia. But it's a business. You see what happened with Miles Sanders. I thought the same exact thing with Miles Sanders, but Miles Sanders got his bag in Carolina. He ain't sniffing the playoffs, though. So you got to look at the big picture. You look at all of these players now, even with what Ndamukong Suh did last year. You want to at least have a shot to make it to the playoffs, and that's where Haason Reddick is in his career. But I don't blame him. He ain't gonna play for chump change either, nor should he. He has been that dude you want in a locker room. No nonsense, comes in, puts in his work, and that's all you hear from him. Doesn't really talk smack too much. None of that nonsense, social media, he ain't into none of that. He just comes here, it's about his business balls, and lets it play on the field. That's what you want. That's the type of locker room you want. I would love to see what Vic Fangio is going to do with somebody like him. God forbid he ain't going to drop him back in pass coverage. Now, what does Deebo Samuel have to do with all of this? Now, I was looking at some information earlier, and I was on Facebook commenting on some things, and you got to realize Haason Reddick is sometimes classified as an outside linebacker. And the guy was saying, no, he's an outside linebacker. He's not. I said, nope, he's a rush edge. Well, he's listed as an outside linebacker. Here's where Deebo Samuels comes into play. Y'all remember 3 years ago, I believe it was 3 years ago, when Deebo was arguing that he was not a running back. He made that very clear. They made a big thing about it. He was renegotiating his contract, and he wanted everybody to stop calling him a running back. He didn't want to play running back. He was a receiver. And everybody else looked at him like, why are you tripping about that? You arguably the most dangerous weapon in the NFL right now. And he was. What do you care if they call you a running back or a hybrid? What do you care? Well, now we know. And I've said this many times before. Credit to Deebo Samuel's representation, because they were so far ahead of the curve, it wasn't funny. They sold them. They saw the market crashing with running backs, and they were just ahead of the curve. So when he wanted to be labeled as a wide receiver, when he clearly was playing running back a lot for San Francisco that year, the reason why he did that was because wide receivers were getting way more money than running backs. So don't label me as a running back, label me as a wide receiver. What does that have to do with Haason Reddick? Edges, rush edges, Watts, Bosa, Donald, Garrett, rush edges, defensive ends make more money than linebackers. And if you ask Haason Reddick, I'm sure he would label himself as a rush end or a rush edge, not an outside linebacker. That is a $10 million difference. The highest paid linebacker right now, I believe, is Roquan Smith, and he's making $20 million a year after that huge signing bonus. The fifth highest paid rush edge in the league is Myles Garrett. He's making like 30. So what you are labeled as makes a difference. Dennis, I'm right there with you, bro. Pay the man. I'm with you 100%. 100%. I think they should pay him, but I understand why the Eagles would take pause because of the age thing. It does matter. So in this situation, both sides are right. Howie's doing smart business, and Haason Reddick is going for his. He's going for his bag. So I can't blame either side for this. I just personally, I want to see Haason Reddick stay in Philadelphia. Von Miller, let's find out. Von Miller's 34 years old. Let's see. Von Miller is listed on NFL.com as an outside linebacker. And let's also look at Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons is also looked at as an outside linebacker. Yeah, Micah Parsons also listed as a linebacker. Now let's just see, just for giggles, let's see Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is listed as defensive end. Yeah, but his size, he's not a linebacker. Ain't no more Levon Kirkland. So, yeah, I agree with you, man. He wants to finish in Philly. So, but here's why it's smart on Howie's part. Here's how it's smart on Howie's part, right? So Haason Reddick, I've heard the rumors already that Atlanta is interested in Haason Reddick, right? Which makes sense. So what happens if Atlanta gives him, I don't know, 18? Let's say Atlanta gives him 20. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number. Can the Eagles come back and say, tell you what, we'll give you 18, plus we'll load it up with some incentives that you can easily make that'll take you to 24. So there's a little wiggle room that the Eagles can use, and that's why Howie Roseman is getting paid the big bucks. That contract. I'm trying to bring up Haason Reddick's contract. Check this out. Go to second monitor here. All right. Haason Reddick signed a 3-year, $45 million contract. That means that's about $15 million a year. 30 of it was guaranteed. So he had an average of 15. So he's at 15 million right now. 2024 Reddick. So 14 million a roster bonus. Okay, so he's 14 bonus of 10 a million. Workout bonus of 250K. But his cap hit is 21 mil and a dead cap of 20 mil. So he's making good money. He is making good money. 22 base salary was $1 million, signing bonus. 23, his base salary is a little over $1 million. Signing bonus option. Cash available 15, and then 24 this year. That will take him over the that equals up to that 45. Dead cap space, cap hit, workout, bonus, blah, blah, blah. So this year they backloaded his contract. So this year he would be making 14 million. He gets a $2 million, almost $3 million, $2.8 million signing bonus. He's got $1 million roster bonus. So he's got some, all of these incentive workouts, the $1 million roster bonus, plus the 14 base salary. Signing bonus. Okay, so it all depends on what they want to do, how they want to restructure it. And he's going to want to stay at that 15 million, especially when he's playing people that are in his peer group are 20 and above. So that's fair. As a businessman on Haason Reddick's side, that's fair. Fair market value for him, for somebody with his talent. When you see what Bosa is getting, he's not going to get Bosa money. He's not going to get, probably not going to get Hargrave money, but they signed Hargrave to a big contract as well. San Francisco did. So 20 million, that sounds about right. Maybe a little bit more. So I don't know what the Eagles are going to do with that. They'll probably try to find, they want to find a way to make it, the way to make it work. Let me see. Lane Johnson. Let me see. Let's go back to the second monitor. Lane Johnson signed a 4-year, $80 million contract with the Eagles. $18 million, $8.8 million signing bonus, 30 guaranteed. So that's 48 million right there. 30 million guaranteed, 18 signing bonus. No. 30 and an annual salary of 20 million. Okay. 24 joint. Next year, his base salary will be 1.2 million and another signing bonus of 18.7 with workout bonuses. His cap hit is 16 mil. Dead cap is 45 mil. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's in there. So, Howie's got some work to do. But to even get to this point, Howie's doing some work. Howie's putting in some work. Because, listen, it's great to say we've got Hall of Fame players, and we do. Right now, we got 3 Hall of Fame players on our team right now. Think about it. Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, and Julio Jones. We got 3 Hall of Fame players right now. A.J. Brown is trending in that direction. So if you want to say 3 in the possible, and if Haason Reddick, he's kind of trending in that direction as well. But my point is when you have players that play this well, that are playing at a high level like this, Fletcher Cox, he's in the conversation as Hall of Fame. When you got this many players that are playing at this level, you can't keep everybody. You can't keep everybody. So I don't know. This is what Howie gets paid to do. This is why Howie is the Wizard of Philadelphia. This is why he earns his money. Because this is what Howie Roseman is good at. So we got to see if we can put the band back together, and see what we can do. I love Fletch too. Fletch is another one I would love to see stay, but he probably gonna go somewhere else and get his money. I think Brandon Graham is going to end up staying because he's going to give Philadelphia a hometown discount. He wants to play his 15 all for one team. And I think they will let him do that. I wish Fletch could, but Fletch at 34 years old is still one of the best defensive tackles in the league, bar none. So he's still playing at a high level and can go somewhere and make an impact. So I'm with you. I don't see Fletch staying. I wish he would, but you can't ask all these guys to give a hometown discount, because what it ends up being is these guys are going to go somewhere else, make that last payday, and then sign a one-day contract with the Eagles so they can retire as an Eagle. That's what it's going to come down to. And you know what? Welcome, open arms. You look at what happened with Trot. When Trot got his bag in Washington, and then he came back and said, never should have left. But that was a business deal. What's the timeline, in your opinion, of getting a contract done or trading Reddick when others like Parsons are due for a contract? With other like persons are due for a contract. They're going to wait, in my opinion, they're going to try to wait until after the combine. Because the combine will it's going to make teams do some funny things. Because based on what they see at the combine, will determine who they're going to draft, who they're targeting. Are they going to wheel and deal? Teams are going to want to move up, trade draft picks, all of that kind of stuff. So the chips on the table are going to change drastically after the combine. So, hey, Marianne, what's going on, Rodney Bustle? Appreciate you for tuning in. So yeah, the combine makes everything change because people are going to be moving up, moving down. Is Chicago going to stay? Are they going to take Caleb Williams? Are they going to let somebody else trade up to get him? And if somebody does trade up, what are they trading? Are they just swapping spots? Or is somebody going to trade down and say, hey, they'll move up and then trade a bunch of, 3 or 4 lesser round picks to get Caleb Williams? Now you got another team with 3 extra picks. Are they going to keep those picks? Now they got to, unload those picks. So it just starts a domino effect of a whole bunch of stuff going on. And that's why I say after the combine, you're really going to see some wheeling and dealing. And in my opinion, Chicago is the linchpin, because all of this is going to hinge on what Chicago's going to do with that pick. Are they going to stick with Justin Fields and sell the pick? Or are they going to keep the pick and draft the best wide receiver in the group? They've got a couple of options. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out? Would they use him as the top pick? But you know what some of these teams are willing to give up to have that number 1 spot. And if you can fill 3 needs with 1 pick, Chicago might want to do that. It ain't Justin Fields' fault that he got 3 different offensive coordinators in 3 years. That doesn't really help you. So, a lot of things that can happen, but after the combine, things are going to start getting tight. Would have to be a post June 1st trade, and that would help us for this draft. Possibly. at the end of the day, if both parties agree on something and the team agrees on something, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't put anything past anyone, especially when it comes to getting ready for the draft. So everybody wants Trot Jr., but our history with drafting linebackers. So who knows? Dennis, I don't know. I don't know if Caleb Williams is a bust. I know he's getting overhyped, just like a bunch of quarterbacks do every year. And with all of the attention that Brock Purdy got this year, all of that attention Brock Purdy got, again, rightfully so, scouts really have to take a look at how they're doing business and really understand that all of these guys coming from, the best schools and the high profiles, it don't always pan out. It doesn't always pan out. And you see all of these guys that get skipped. You see Brock Purdy, you see Tony Romo, you see Dak Prescott, you see Tom Brady. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on and on. And you look at all of these with the exception of, and I'm trying to think of quarterbacks I can think of that came out with all of the hype and lived up to the hype. Like Super Bowl champions that lived up to the hype. Peyton Manning was one. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, so you can't count him. Troy Aikman, when he came out of UCLA, he was a top pick. Like it's you got to really think which Ben Roethlisberger, but Ben Roethlisberger didn't come from a big school. He came from Miami of Ohio. So you can take him out of the picture. I know he got drafted high, but he wasn't. I guess you could say you go either way with that one, but you got to really think to find out the quarterbacks that have come out that had all of the hype, because for every situation like Peyton Manning or Troy Aikman, you got Ryan Leaf, you got Sam Darnold, you can name a whole bunch of other quarterbacks that didn't make it. There's more quarterbacks that didn't make it than the ones that are, and you always find situations like even Lamar Jackson. Yes, you could say Lamar Jackson has gone above and beyond his hype level because nobody thought he could play quarterback. Ozzie Newsome took a chance on Lamar Jackson. They wasn't ready for that yet. So, Elbert says they have to trim the fat. The Eagles have some large contracts out there. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But that's what you get. When you get a good squad, you got two things to worry about. When a team reaches their ultimate goal, they're going to cherry pick your coaches and cherry pick your players. Already, you see this nonsense that the 49ers are going through. It's already players complaining. It's already players saying that they don't know if they're going to be here. Instead of giving a legit answer, they beating around the bush because they don't want to paint themselves in the corner. So San Francisco's going through that same stuff that we went through. Shanahan's catching fire for his play calling and his time management and what he did in overtime. It comes with the territory. And the Debo karma is just funny to me. Debo talked all of that smack on us. It's not a rivalry, and just talked all kind of smack, and karma just smacked them all upside the head. Here's a funny thing, and I don't know if you may have heard this before, but this is to a T when you talk about karma. The San Francisco 49ers lost the exact same way that we lost. The 49ers lost the exact same way that the Eagles lost to the same team the same way. We were up 10 by halftime. San Francisco was up 10 by halftime. They had a critical special teams mistake. We let that punt return go. They fumbled the punt return. Your best player on the team fumbled the ball. Jalen Hurts had that fumble. Christian McCaffrey had that fumble. And you lost on the same exact play. If you remember last year, they ran that play twice and got 2 touchdowns on us. They brought that outside receiver in motion, and as soon as he hit the tight end, they snapped the ball and he went back the other way, and the defensive back that was in man coverage could not recover. They ran the exact same play, and that's how our boy caught that touchdown for the win in the Super Bowl. That was the same play. Tell me that's not karma. Tell me that's not karma. And you get the picture of Debo with the towel on his head with tears in his eyes. Now you understand. And now you got to wait all off season. You got to hear all this noise all off season coming from the people in your city. Not us, not outsiders. You're going to catch that hell anyways. But now most of the flack, most of the criticisms are coming from San Francisco. Your fan base in San Fran. That's karma at its best. That is karma manifest. So be quiet. I didn't think I would see that twice in the same playoff series. I saw it. Detroit did it with CJ Gardner-Johnson at halftime waving bye-bye, and it's like, that's why you play 4 quarters. That's why you play 4 quarters. And then San Francisco had it, and they just couldn't keep it. It was good until it wasn't. Oh, but also on a San Francisco tip, man, the one thing I had to, I just put out a little YouTube short on this one about a while ago. Dre Greenlaw's injury is what players have nightmares about. That was a nightmare, worst case scenario in the flesh. You saw it earlier this season in preseason when you saw what happened to Joey Burrow in Cincinnati. Running a BS warm-up, tossing the ball around, kind of warmed up, half speed, and just steps the wrong way and just something tweaked. And his calf was never the same all year. He doesn't finish the season. And then Dre Greenlaw steps on the field after a special teams play, and he's running onto the field and pops his Achilles. At least Aaron Rodgers was in a play. He was actually on the field. Now, it was only the 4th play of the game, of the season, but still. They're in the same vein because nobody touched them either case. I don't think I think A-Rod was in on a tackle or getting tackled, but it wasn't, they didn't step on his foot or anything like that. Dre Greenlaw just was running out on the field, and just the expiration date on his Achilles just tripped, just went. That is a nightmare for former players. That is why players want their money as soon as they can get it. That's why they go for their contract they bag, because at any given time, you are one play away from glory or ruin. He went down untouched, running on the field in the biggest game of his life. And he will be forever haunted of what could have been if he would have been on the field. Because the first thing going through his mind is, if I would have stayed on the field, there's no way they would have won that game. That's what he's thinking. I would have made the difference. And who's to say it's not true? They said the same thing the year before with Brock Purdy. Who's to say it's not true? It's their right to say that. So that's going to be a long road of recovery for him because you got to recover the mental. And maybe if he comes back next year, maybe he could be the comeback player of the year and giving it to somebody that actually got hurt. But we'll see. But that was stuff of nightmares right there, man. That was the stuff of nightmares. Also, real quick, I wanted to look at this stuff with. Did y'all see this stuff with Jalen Carter and Joe Feliciano? Now, Joe Feliciano was already in hot water because he was calling some people out, or I don't know if he was the one that missed the block that caused that led in a blitz and caused Brock Purdy to miss the open man. I don't know if it was him or if he's the one that kind of snitched on his teammate. But in either case, he is not in a good light right now. What's up, Trey? See my boy Trainer Trey is in the building. I see you, Adrian Bird Sr. But yeah, man, did you see that? Jalen Carter said he was talking greasy about his buddy that died in a car crash. And I said, yeah, that's kind of grimy. But here's the thing with that. Because the NFL could very easily find stuff like that out. Because the NFL has got microphones everywhere. Everywhere. Listen, when I went, when I made my trek to did the tour of NFL films, and we saw how they put together videos and all of that kind of stuff. When I say they have mics everywhere, they can pick up whatever they want. And I am surprised that they don't do that more often, if they don't do it already. Because it is very easy to pick up what's being said on the field with players, all of that kind of stuff. The technology is there. So in a situation like this, you could probably pick that stuff up. Same thing earlier in the season with that dude from Buffalo that was saying that the guy in the stands in Philadelphia was giving out death threats to the family and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man. I believe, you got to understand some of the stuff that happens when you at the bottom of a pile. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. You would be amazed at some of the things that happen. And I'm not just talking about what they say. And I'm saying that as a running back. There's a reason when I was in college, I wore a shield. Let me just say it like that. Because people trying to throw dirt in your face, trying to spit on you, trying to stick their dirty gloves in your eyes or in your mouth and all of that kind of stuff. It's nasty at the bottom of a pile, man. So stuff like this doesn't surprise me. People will talk out of pocket and just say anything. So it's gonna get tripped one time. Somebody's gonna say something, and it is gonna get caught on mic if they don't already have that stuff already. Because with the technology that I've seen and some of the stuff, some of the content they put together at NFL films and places like that, what they have access to is mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So you can. All I'm gonna say is this: stories like this, people don't just come out and say specific stuff like this all the time, because now the buzzword now, if you're on the defense, is, oh, he made death threats. That don't even make sense. That's why the whole situation with that dude from Buffalo sounded ridiculous. So you mean to tell me this dude was in the stands, you were on the field, and this dude is cursing you out and saying he's gonna kill your family from the stands in pregame? Yeah, that wasn't believable right off the bat. I can look at things and you can see that's the dude that jumped off sides and was trying to hurt our offensive guard, and that's exactly what it looked like. He wasn't trying to hold himself back. And so when you see stuff like that, you can kind of look at it, read between the lines, and you know, I wasn't there, but I look at it and say, okay, I can believe somebody saying some foul stuff like that. Look at what they do in the NCAA now. Some of these the student groups behind the basket. You ever see the signs and stuff they hold up when people are trying to shoot free throws and stuff like that? Some of that stuff gets grimy. Duke and a couple of other colleges, they go next level. Be looking up private stuff and pictures of your mom in bikinis and all. Like they can get nasty with it, very nasty with it. This is no different. So at the end of the day, what are they going to do with it? Maybe they'll fine him. What's Jalen Carter going to do with it? Look for him next time they play. Maybe they'll be in the same space, and if something pops off then. But at the end of the day, situations like that diffuse themselves because you're not going to be in a situation where, say you're at an event or something, you happen to see this dude and you want to start some trouble. You're not going to do that because there's too much money involved. If you at a function or something like that, that means somebody's sponsoring you. That means you might have an endorsement deal or something like that. You ain't going to mess up that type of money. So, it is what it is. It was interesting. So, but hopefully the Eagles can stick with Haason Reddick and they can work out a contract that is equitable and fair. And hopefully Haason Reddick will stay in Philadelphia, man. So I'm going to hit on some more of these subjects tomorrow night. You can check me out on A2D Radio at 7 p.m. I will definitely be there. And this is Wednesday. I will be here on Friday for Live at Lunch, and we're going to keep this thing moving. I appreciate you guys joining me. Hit me up on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we're going to keep it moving. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. Make sure you clock back in on time, and I will holler at you guys Friday. Peace. I'm out. Go Birds.